praise your holy name. Oh, praise your holy name. For you are God. And sing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. And sing, sing hallelujah. Oh, sing hallelujah. For you are our God.
I'm Reverend Steve Adkins. I'd like to welcome you to the Sunday morning service of the People's Church of Divine Prophecy. We're located at 125 West International Speedways, upstairs of the store. I wish to welcome you. Today's lecturer is Ronnie Austin. He's the associate pastor of the church and musician, so he gets to do double duty today. Thank you. The next portion is the inspirational lecture. And today, Ronnie Austin will be presenting that. I've known Ronnie about, I guess, 20-some years now, and I've always enjoyed his company. He's always spoken the truth and spoken straight when he spoke. I've always gotten some help from when we talked, not that we always sat with the intention of helping each other, but God works through people whether they know it or not. And I'm sure that you'll see that natural flowing through Ronnie today. Please welcome the Associate Pastor, Ronnie Austin.
Thank you, Steve. Wow, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Ronnie.
Glad you came. Today, I'm going to be speaking about something that's really been a curiosity of mine for the last 40 years. Now I'm telling my age. Right?
Before you were born, right?
Before I was born, I was curious about this stuff. First thing, I always like to start off with a little something funny here. So there was a couple of things that came to mind. I bought some books when I was out west, and they were cowboy wisdom books, okay? And the name of this book was called Don't Whiz on the Electric Fence, okay? So it's there's a cute little things in there. These are jokes. It's hard to plant a seedless grape. Yeah, that's some cowboy wisdom there, isn't it? How about this? Turnips and sweet potatoes will get you through a depression. Just ask Grandpa. The only thing worse than finding a worm in your apple is finding half a worm. To get it? Okay. Just hope to put a little smile on your face. Anybody ever found half a worm in their apple?
No.
Okay, good. I have, and I guess I'm the only one. There's some things that I've been attracted to in the world of spiritualism and reincarnation, because in the good book it doesn't talk much about reincarnation, but in a lot of other publications it talks about reincarnation. There's a lot of books written on this subject. And today I'm going to talk about how spiritualism and reincarnation are kind of intertwined with each other based on beliefs. First of all, I'm going to read a little bit. I don't normally read, but today I want to read a little bit to you. This is out of the Spiritualist Manual. And what it says is, what is spiritualism? And spiritualism is an outpouring of spirit upon humanity, a divine revelation from the spheres of light. It is the highest message of truth which we have as yet grown to grasp, and one whose depth, beauty, and might, significance we still imperfectly realize. Well, that's some wordy stuff, though. But what it's saying is, this is way beyond our comprehension. Yeah, a lot of it is. We, as human beings, encapsulated in this vessel, have a journey here and a purpose here at this time. And I was thinking on the way in this morning, you know, everybody in this room could be somewhere else today, but we all chose to be here. for whatever reason it was, a curiosity, wondering what I might say next, I don't know, but just to be fed, maybe to learn something, something that would touch your heart. And I hope that today, if I impart anything on you at all, I leave you with a little something that you go, wow, that was the little nugget I was looking for. That was the one thing that made me go, yeah, that was it. That was the question I had, and there was the answer. So I'm hoping through divine intervention here that I can expand on something that touches you and that helps you to grow, because that's the real purpose behind why we're all here. And believe me, I get sometimes more out of this than you would realize just by being able to share with you. I get plenty over here. That's the gift that God gave me years and years and years ago. Had no idea I'd be using that in this format, because when I was a kid, it was all about rock and roll, man. That's it. I'm just going to be a rock and roll guitar picker. So moving along. Spiritualism proves without a doubt the continuity of life. And yet, the publications that I have studied and read into tells me that life continues on and on and on and on and on. And the reason that we're all back here is because we're trying to fix something, or there's maybe some karmic debt that we need to pay. A good example of that was John the Baptist. John the Baptist, how many of you know how he was killed? He was beheaded, right? Well, according to Scripture, he was also Elijah. And Elijah he had over 10,000 people beheaded. So guess what? Hundreds of years later, he came back as the messenger, and he was beheaded. So he paid his debt, right? And one of my dearest books, I've had this book for a long time, I didn't realize the pages were starting to yellow on me so much, is a book written on about 4 books about Edgar Cayce. Do any of you know who Cayce was? Most of you do? Yeah. Okay. He was, in our modern time, the sleeping prophet. In other words, he was I guess we'd call him a trance medium or something of that nature. He never considered himself a medium, but he didn't deny that he was or was not. He had no clue, for those of you that don't know who he was, he had no clue what he said when he was in trance. As a matter of fact, his voice changed subtly, and by mere suggestion, he went into a sleep-like trance, and whatever came out was based on the questions that were prompted to him. So, kind of, not by accident, but by intent, a gentleman came along who had been studying all of the Eastern religions, and he wanted to know what Cayce thought about reincarnation. And the interesting thing about Cayce is he was a devout Presbyterian. Okay? He read the Bible, the entire Bible, once a year for almost every day of his life that he could read. From the time he was about 8, 9 years old, he read the Bible. Now think about that. I struggled through it one time. And there sure was a lot of he begats and she begats and stuff like that. But here's a guy that read it, so he totally believed in the Bible as the Word, right? Because that's how they thought back at the turn of the last century. Spiritualism had come along, but it was not near as deep as the old, Protestant, Presbyterian ways. So here's a guy that when all of a sudden somebody had prompted him in trance to talk about the lives, when he came to, and they said, oh, hey, we talked about past lives, and he's like, whoa, 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 time out. That's not, no, that's not in my Bible. I don't believe that way. I don't think that way. So now when we come to this information that other people recorded, I just wanted you to understand where he was coming from when he gave it. He was like, no way, man. But then he said, you can read reincarnation right into the Bible, and you can also read it right out of the Bible. So it just depends on how you want to interpret it. I'm not here to convince you that it does or does not exist. I'm just going to give you the facts and what has been learned over the years. And in any of your Eastern mystic religions, they all believe in reincarnation. And why the purpose? Just to come back here and try to get it right. Fix whatever it was you needed to fix, or learn whatever it was you needed to learn. So in this first chapter of this part of reincarnation, have I lived before? There was, on the warm afternoon of August 10th in 1923, in a hotel room in Dayton, Ohio, the famous American seer, Edgar Casey, woke from a self-imposed hypnotic sleep to receive one of the greatest shocks of his life. As he listened to the stenographer read back a transcript of his words, this most orthodox Protestant could not believe what was being read back to him. His first fear was that his subconscious facilities had suddenly commandeered the forces of evil. Think about where he was coming from, right? Making him their unwitting tool, and he had always vowed that if his clairvoyant powers ever fell into that darker entity, that he would just quit. That's it. If he's not helping. And just kind of a side note, the way that this gift came to him was in his early prayers as a child. He asked God to give him the ability to help people, and especially other children, heal their ailments. So he became world-renowned for his ability to diagnose somebody's illness while in trance, and he had better than 80% accuracy in these diagnoses. And he often spoke in language that was, medical professions they were taught Latin back in those days, right? So he had oftentimes diagnosed in Latin. And here's a guy with barely a grade school education, but he diagnosed in a foreign language, right? Whoa. So, now with this confusion, as he listened to Arthur Lammer's excited account of what happened, Lammers had requested this. Arthur Lammers had requested this sitting because he was the guy that had been traveling around the world studying all the Eastern religions. And so you can see the surprise here, right? In 1932, when he was asked to give the strongest reason against reincarnation, that's when he said, a law of cause and effect should exist here in all material things, yet the strongest argument against it is also the strongest argument for it. Even though a soul might will itself to never reincarnate, but would prefer to suffer and suffer and suffer, both heaven and hell are built by the soul. Both heaven and hell are built by the soul. Wow. But does a soul have to crucify the flesh as ever? When it discovers that it must work out its own salvation in the material world by entering and re-entering until it achieves the soul consciousness which would make it compatible with the Creator. We as spiritualists are constantly striving to know the God within, right? And to cleanse whatever it is that needs to be cleansed so that we can get back to heaven. Right? Here's the good stuff. Rather is the law of forgiveness made available in thine evidence through the Son who would stand in thy stead. I heard this. God is only as far away as your elbow. Is that good stuff? If you're ever wondering if you're alone, it's just as far as the elbow. I mean, that's close enough, isn't it?